a big crowd. If I ask you, everybody here, to think about somebody in your family that has served in the military, that picture that hangs on your wall, you might not ever even have met them. It might be the granddaddy, great-granddaddy, but it's somebody that's hanging in your house. Raise your hand if somebody's on your mind right now. Yeah, everybody knows them. Put them front and center. For me, that was my granddaddy, World War II, Papa Rich. Papa, right? You know how your granddaddy is, that he'll tell you the same story 100 times in a row. Same story, but you just want to hear it again. Sure, tell it to me again, Pat. Let's do it. Well, this was his story. He said, John, I was 17 years old, living in Glasgow, Kentucky, and John, this train rode through Glasgow, Kentucky every day of my life. And it was loaded down with fertilizer, and farm implements, stuff that we needed for our town. But when World War II broke out, the same train is rolling through Glasgow, Kentucky, except now it's loaded down with caskets. He said, and in those caskets were my uncles, my cousins, kids that I grew up with, boys I worked in the tobacco fields with. He said, I got so mad that I wasn't old enough to go fight. He said, I told him, I can run, I can jump, I can shoot, let me go take them out. He said, you're too young. He said, so I had my older sister act like she was my mother and signed me up for the United States Army at 17, and I got in. So let me explain this guy to you for a minute. Here's his dimensions. 5'2", 115 pounder. Right there. But he was one of those boys, if you said, hey, Bill, shoot that squirrel, he'd say, left eye or right eye? Got in the U.S. Army, they realized this boy was a hillbilly with an attitude right there. So they turned him into what they called tunnel rats. And in the Pacific, a tunnel rat was the little guy that would go in with a flamethrower and a grenade belt, and his job was to flush the Japanese out the other side of the cave. And by the time World War II was over and he came back home, the old man had 6 Purple Hearts. 6. They just kept patching him up.
Yes.
Send you back out. He finally got home, hooked on morphine for 2 years. Weaned himself off of morphine, became a farmer, died at 80 years old. One of my greatest regrets is I should have written this song while the old man was alive. I wrote it 1 month after he died.